You know, in this constant battle against cyber threats, it often feels like we're always playing catch-up, always one step behind. But what if our systems could actually fight back all on their own? That's exactly what we're diving into today, the rise of self-healing AI. This isn't just about building stronger walls. It's about creating systems that can actively heal themselves in real time. So, here's what we've got lined up. First, we'll talk about why the old way of doing things is pretty much a losing race. Then, we'll get into this game-changing idea of self-healing and how that leads to true cyber resilience. After that, we'll peek under the hood to see how it all works, look at the challenges holding it back, and finally, we'll gaze into the crystal ball at the future of autonomous defense.
All right, let's kick things off with our first section, the losing race. We need to understand why our traditional security measures just aren't cutting it anymore.
So let's just ask the tough question right out of the gate. Are we actually losing the cyber war? I mean, when you see attackers using incredibly sophisticated AI and automation, our old playbook of relying on human defenders just starts to look, well, hopelessly outmatched.
The real problem here is that our defenses have always been reactive. We wait for an alarm to go off, and then a person has to jump in, figure out what's going on, and then try to fix it. That gap, that delay, is a massive window of opportunity for attackers. They can exploit everything from brand new, never-before-seen flaws, what we call zero-day vulnerabilities, to launching these quiet, long-term attacks that hide for months.
Okay, so if the old approach is broken, what's the alternative? Well, that brings us right to Section 2, the rise of self-healing. And this is a completely different way of thinking about defense.
So what exactly is a self-healing system? Put simply, it's an AI that can automatically detect, isolate, and then repair the damage from an attack, all without a human needing to lift a finger. And here's the really cool part. It learns from every single one of these encounters, getting smarter, faster, and more effective over time. Honestly, the best way to wrap your head around this is to think of our own biological immune system. It doesn't just put up a wall and hope for the best, right? No, it's constantly on patrol, actively hunting for invaders, neutralizing them, and then healing the damage they caused. That's the exact model these new digital defense systems are built on.
And you know, this whole idea of healing, it points to a much bigger shift in strategy, which brings us to Section 3, moving beyond just prevention and aiming for something called cyber resilience. Just look at that bottom row right there. That's the key. Traditional cybersecurity is built on this optimistic idea that we can prevent every breach. But cyber resilience starts from a much more realistic place. It assumes breaches are inevitable. So the goal isn't just about stopping attacks, it's about being durable enough to survive them and keep right on functioning. Here's a simple way to think about it. Your home security alarm, that's your cybersecurity. It's your first line of defense. But resilience, that's your insurance policy. The fireproof safe where you keep your most important stuff, and the phone number for a contractor to come fix the window the burglar smashed. You really need both to be truly secure.
All right, so how does this digital immune system actually do its thing? Let's pop the hood in Section 4 and take a look at the mechanics.
It really boils down to this incredibly powerful three-step loop that just runs constantly. First, the AI is always monitoring. I mean, it's drinking from a fire hose of real-time data from everywhere. The second it spots an anomaly, anything that looks out of place, it moves to Step 2, diagnosis. And finally, once it knows what it's dealing with, it triggers an immediate, automated response to neutralize the threat. And what does an automated response actually look like? Well, it could be a few things. It might do something called a runtime patch injection, which is basically like applying a digital band-aid to a running program without having to shut it down. Or it could deploy other controls, like rerouting traffic or temporarily disabling a feature. And if things get really serious, it can just completely quarantine an infected machine, stopping the threat dead in its tracks.
And this is where the speed of AI just leaves us humans in the dust. An AI tool can tear through 500 lines of code every single second. There's just no way a human analyst can ever hope to match that kind of speed. This is what allows these systems to find and fix a problem before a hacker even has a clue it exists.
But of course, this technology isn't a magic wand you can just wave and solve all your problems. And that brings us to Section 5, where we're going to talk about some of the pretty significant challenges that are still on the road ahead. One of the biggest hurdles? The risk of false positives. Imagine the AI makes a mistake and shuts down your company's main sales platform during Black Friday. The cure could end up being way worse than the disease. On top of that, there's a huge skills gap.
We need people who can manage these complex systems. Plus, you have to figure out how to make this new tech work with your old legacy systems, all while navigating a super complex web of compliance rules like GDPR.
But even with those challenges, the direction we're heading is crystal clear. So for our final section, let's look to the horizon. What's next for the future of autonomous defense?
I mean, this is where things start to sound like they're straight out of a sci-fi movie. Imagine combining self-healing AI with blockchain for unhackable data logs, or using quantum computing to create encryption that's literally unbreakable. We're even talking about AI-driven deception tactics to set traps for attackers. The ultimate endgame here is a fully autonomous security operations center, a digital fortress that literally defends itself.
And all of this leads to one final big question. As the attackers use their own AI to launch faster and more sophisticated attacks, a defense that relies only on humans seems destined to fail. So maybe the question isn't if autonomous defense is the future, but rather, how fast can we get there? At this point, is it simply inevitable?